team to reach 4 wins will be able to guarantee their spot in the semifinals of the World Cup.
That is exciting. I'm looking forward to what we're about to witness. But I think I've heard that we're ready to look at the team sheets, and then we can see what teams we're actually getting to play against here.
Here we go.
I love the logo here. Look at the koala chilling there. It's so cool.
It's the best, if I do say so myself. But yes, I think Lewis not only rocking that awesome Australian logo with the crocodile on the side, but having such great accomplishments as a trainer that has been able to go through the seniors towards the Masters division, at least when it comes to recent times. World's finalists, seniors in 2019, Brisbane regional finalists 24, World Cup top 16. This is with Australia in this very competition of the 2024 edition. And then only several weeks ago, Brisbane regional top 8. Clearly, Lewis Tan, a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and let's look at the team for a second. We have this, like, Raging Bolt is a classic Pokemon for Galatian F, right? Raging Bolt, Incineroar, Moongus, Rillaboom, those are like the staples you can put in almost every team. But the one Pokemon I am looking at here is the Perish Song Choice Specs Fluttermane. So you are basically forcing yourself to be locked into a move, but in some situations that is just a straight up win condition, right? Because if you get rid of with an offensive team like this, like you have a very offensive Dragon Dance, Roaring Moon, you can take KOs left and right, the Terra Flying Acrobatics. We haven't seen that in Regulation H, of course, because it was illegal, but also before that in Regulation I, Roaring Moon wasn't really played that much. So I'm glad that Roaring Moon can be back, can show off what it can do, can like do a little dance, and then take a little KO left and right.
Yeah.
And then there's a Fluttermane coming in, clicking Perish Song, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and I think that's the sort of beauty of being able to identify certain win conditions and, certain lines that you need to be able to sort of bring the Fluttermane, which, you did initially started off as like early game burst damage potential. You're like, okay, cool. I've got, let's say, Odrapon Wellspring next to me. I'm just going to have Follow Me Redirection. It's a great way to be able to deter Urshifu Rapid Strike Scarf variants and just deal damage. That's the sort of beauty of Fluttermane. But if you sort of want to switch up a mode and there's a very bulky Pokemon or a setup Pokemon in the back for your opponent, you can switch the Fluttermane out, try to navigate the waters with an Incineroar, and then, like you said, try to identify a Perish Song endgame where you just wrap things up as long as you get rid of the first initial Pokemon. So you don't necessarily need a trapping move in this essence. It's got a multi-roll compression going for the Fluttermane.
Yeah, and I really like seeing that. Also, there's a classic of Terraferia Moongus. You don't want to lose to a Calm Mind Raging Bolt right out of the gate, right out of the gate. Sorry. So you have a Terraferia Moongus, because then you can redirect and completely render the Raging Bolt useless. So that is definitely one Pokemon to cover, like almost the matchup right there. But I'm really interested to see what this team goes up against, right? Because what team could beat this Perish Song hyper offense Fluttermane right there?
And it may well potentially even be a partial mirror, at least when it comes to the components that Nga Hin Wayne is going to be bringing. But let's just go over very quick the achievements first of Nga. And it ×5 World Cup competitor, so clearly this isn't their first rodeo. They've been able to do such a great job in previous editions. Hong Kong Special Champion of 2017, only to follow that up the next season with a regional championship at that same event, although the naming has slightly changed. But then, also, yet another consistent result, Hong Kong Championships finalist of 2023. So Nga Hin clearly absolutely up on their game and trying to bring that for their home country.
Yeah, two very accomplished players going up against each other here, both wielding an Incineroar. So that I'm very interested to see how that one goes. But here also, interesting to point out, we have a lot of components that can basically take care of a Moongus. So the Incineroar, interestingly enough, decides to go for a Citrus Berry instead of the safety goggles, like in Lewis's team. We also see the Urshifu Dark. Usually, people go for Rain Dance and Urshifu Water. So basically the Rapid Strike?
Surgeon Strikes, yeah.
So here, deciding to go for the single move, the single hit move, Wicked Blow. It is a strong move. Terra Dark, like not a lot can take a Terra Dark Wicked Blow, especially if it has a little bit of chip on it, like, you know, maybe a Fake Out, maybe, you know, a Make It Rain from a Goldango, who knows?
Right.
But Goldango also a very dangerous Pokemon in this format because +2 Shadow Ball or Make It Rain does a lot of damage into a lot of things, and so you really wanna make sure you position yourself well. But this is also where the Raging Bolt with the Assault Vest comes in, because given the Assault Vest, the bulk is a lot more, and with the Electro Web you can then slow down this Goldango. You can slow down the entire opponent's team, and then get the hits in that you need to.
Yeah, 100%, and that's sort of the name of the game when it comes to this sort of composition. You want to be able to sort of set up your Goldango in essence, but then have all of the supporting cast in the forms of, let's say, like we said, we've got the Incineroar, you've got Fake Out, you've got the Yodapon, you've got Redirection, you've got Tornadus, which in essence can become its own sweeper if it has a Rain Dance set up, and then, you know, absolute 100% accurate Bleak Wind Storms just packs so much of a punch. But it does have the Tailwind, Rocky Helmet set, and then we get the Raging Bolt also being the Assault Vest variant. So I think going into this matchup, it'll be quite interesting to see how things pan out, especially when it comes to the leads. But we're going to find out immediately, as Nga Hin is going to be rocking the Incineroar Goldango lead versus Lewis's Raging Bolt and the Flutter Mane.
Yeah, we immediately see the Flutter Mane on the board, so trying to do a lot of damage out of the gate here. That seems to be Lewis's plan. But Nga Hin tries to also go out with the Goldango, so immediately putting the pressure onto the board, trying to threaten with a Nasty Plot. Fake Out Nasty Plot should be a safe play here, because the Flutter Mane, I mean, it has Shadow Ball, but do you really want to lock into Shadow Ball right away?
Yeah, that is something that you really need to be able to consider. But at least from the Raging Ball side of things, this is a good way. It does have Snarl versus Nga Hin's own Raging Ball, which doesn't have the Snarl option to be able to slow down that Goldango and put on a lot of pressure.
Yeah, we see the Protect coming out from the Goldango. Moonblast directly into the Incineroar, doing a lot of damage, followed up by the Electro Web, making sure this Goldango does not get to move faster, but the Protect is blocking it. So Incineroar getting slowed down a bit. The Switch Berry proc, so this means the Incineroar, we haven't seen move, so there is no Fake Out coming out from that Incineroar. So I assume there's a Snarl coming out, meaning both of the special attackers on the board are not doing as much damage anymore. This opens up the path for this Goldango.
Yeah, and you can see both of the trains were sort of a same thought, at least when it came to Lewis's side. Just deal damage, get rid of the disruption from the Incineroar slot, or at least be able to deter it, and maybe get a speed drop on that Goldango whilst being able to sort of remain prevalent. But the Flutter Mane remains on the field and maybe open to Make a Rain, but that doesn't seem to be the case as the plot has gone up.
Yeah, Nasty Plot coming out. This is going to be a very dangerous Goldango right now. I mean, the speed drops are interesting, but they do not really matter that much, right? Because the Flutter Mane is locked into Moonblast. That's not going to do a lot of damage. The Raging Bolt is snarled. The Incineroar is coming out with the Parting Shot as well now. So this Flutter Mane is not doing any damage to the threat that is Goldango.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Nga Hin has been able to identify. You've got -2 Flutter Mane on the other side of the field. Sure, it's choice spec, so in essence it may be sort of more equivalent to -1 special attack, but this is really what you want to be able to do. You have that sort of option of going for the speed control now via the Tailwind to be able to outpace, but this is an Assault Vest Raging Bolt on Lewis's side, and you need to be able to find a way to start chipping it down, because it will stay on the field for so long if you don't get rid of it.
Yeah, the Raging Bolt, thankfully, is carrying the Assault Vest, so not that threatened of like any Make It Rain, for example. But here the +2 Goldango is now slower thanks to the Electro Whip, so it has to take a Snarl from the Raging Bolt, is going down to -1. I'm curious what this Goldango is going to do. We see the Shadow Ball coming out into the Raging Bolt, so correctly identifying that the Flutter Mane is not doing anything, but the Assault Vest is a really useful item on this Raging Bolt.
Yeah, Goldango now at +1. Sure, it's not going to be dealing as much damage as +2, but it's still going to be able to pack a punch, and that is respectful damage against the Raging Bolt. But the Tornadus may feel a bit threatened right now, given the scenario that this Raging Bolt has Fake Out pressure alongside it via that Incineroar, and it's just ready to either go for disruption or go for the offensive. Maybe at this point, even just Electro Web spam, to be honest. I'm not sure what you think, Simon.
I think I agree. Like, this Raging Bolt is not threatened from the board at all. There is a +1 Goldengo, yes, but you can just go for Snarl, you can just go for Electro Web. You're threatening both sides of the field right here. And we also see that both players know exactly what they want to do, right? They lock in extremely fast. They know exactly how the matchup has to play out. But here, we see something really beautiful. Goldengo decides, I want to be a little bit more like Fluttermane. Goes for the Terra Fairy here, just to not take that much damage from Snarl. Tailwind comes out, and now we should see either a Shadow Ball or Make It Rain.
Yeah, and it is going to be targeting the Raging Bolt, so dealing really good damage, bringing it down to 57 hit points remaining. Electro Web will now bring this Goldengo down to -2 speed, Tornadus down to -1, but with the Tailwind, it's going to be able to offset that just nicely. As Flare Blitz as a focus rather than knockoff goes into the Goldengo, just misses the KO, but most crucially, you've dealt so much damage onto one of the main sort of setup Pokemon that Nga Hin has identified as a win condition.
Yeah, this Goldengo doesn't feel so good anymore. There's a few HP left. The Tornadoes also doesn't want to stand in front of a Raging Bolt. I mean, we've seen that Electro didn't do that much, but I think a Thunderclap could be something you do not want to take.
Oh, and we see it's able to pick up the KO. So Nga Hin not wanting to go for the mind game, saying, I just want to strike true and go for the attack, anticipating Lewis to anticipate my adaptation, but that's not the case. So Bleak Wind Storm now will be unleashed. Raging Bolt just taking that handedly, only being dealt 24 damage from that slot. Incineroar's open up, going for the Flare Blitz. It's not quite enough to pick up the KO on the Tornadus, but has brought it down to orange. And Rocky Helmet is such a great way to be able to sort of get that sort of focus, respect, disrespected, and just absolutely applying that 1/16 of damage back. So Urshifu now, under Tailwind, this is looking a bit tricky.
Yeah, the Urshifu is actually the perfect bring here, because otherwise your Tornadus would be threatened by a Thunderclap. So you do not want to risk that. That could be prevented by going for a Sucker Punch on the Urshifu, which would come out first. And we immediately see the Sucker Punch going out, covering for the potential Thunderclap. The Raging Bolt says goodbye, has done a lot of work in the game, so this is probably not that bad. Bleak Wind comes out, hits without the rain.
Hits without the rain, yeah, just for style points, because you can, but the most crucial thing here is the fact that it was able to connect 80% of the time, 100% in that scenario. But at the same point, Lewis now is able to bring in 2 fresh Pokemon. We've seen the Fluttermane from before, and we did get a bit of a preview there. It's going to be the Roaring Moon. And let's not forget, there hasn't been a terrestrialization commit from Lewis's side just yet, so this may well be a strategy for Lewis to be able to maybe flip this game on its head, but you need to stall out that final turn of Tailwind.
Yeah, but in order to stall out a final turn of Tailwind, you need to protect your Pokemon. This Tornadus, compared to other...
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what you need to be able to focus and take care of in order to be able to put on the pressure. You need to be able to take it. And the Roaring Moon Dragon Dance essentially allows you that room if you want to try to capitalize off of it, have that +1 speed. But I think just going for the fair attack right now from Lewis's side would make a lot of sense, as we do see a double protect from Nga Hin's side, just to make sure that you're able to stall out the final turn of Tailwind, get that set up again. But let's see if Lewis has been able to read that, maybe capitalize off of it. No, it's just going to be a double focus right now, going for the acrobatics and the dazzling gleam, locking in, should I say, with that Fluttermane choice specs is clearly key here, because you pick up a KO on the Tornadus and then you also bring that Urshifu down to a focus attack. But yeah, as that's going to be the case, we're going to have to figure out what Lewis can actually go ahead and commit to at this point, because you've got the terrestrialization as an option to be able to sort of read into a Wicked Blow, but then again, you've got the Roaring Moon, which is already resisting the dark types. However, it's the close combat that it's clearly fearing, and in this scenario you need to be able to read that, maybe even avoid a Bleak Wind Storm at this scenario too.
I think I should be back now with my microphone. Sorry for that.
You are. Hello.
Yeah, we see the terrestrialization coming out from this Roaring Moon, going for the Terra Flying here. That is a very threatening Roaring Moon, right? It has the attack booster. Yeah, Tailwind has run out, right? So Tailwind is going to be set up by the Tornadus, but you always have to look forward to what this Urshifu is going to do. It's going for the close combat, so basically reading no terrestrialization, reading the defensive Terra on the Fluttermane, but it's not coming out. Going to -1 special defense won't really matter because Dazzling Gleam and potentially an Acrobatics is going to pick up a double KO.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Lewis wants, to be able to start picking up the KOs as soon as possible and forcing that final Pokemon from Nga Hin's side to be able to be revealed as, yeah, it's going to be the Acrobatics, picks up the Urshifu. At this point, the real question is, what can Nga Hin do in this scenario? You've got so many of your resources absolutely depleted. Lewis did an exceptional job in being able to preserve the Terastallization for that crucial end game scenario where they were able to absolutely capitalize off of Nga Hin wanting to play a bit safe with the close combat focus. But yeah, it's going to be the Incineroar. This, I feel, is an absolute wrap up, and Lewis is able to just run away with this game one, where it definitely felt like there was some good initial pressure from Nga Hin's side, but the Golden Ghost setup, even with the commit of the Terra Fairy, just wasn't able to uphold its end in terms of being able to dispatch of some crucial pieces on Lewis's side.
Yeah, both of those players decided, hey, this is going to be an explosive game. We're going to just pick up KOs left and right. And so this is exactly how it played out, right? It's defensive position, or it's offensive positioning. You want to get your sweepers in the exact moment to just pick up the KOs, right? And here we've seen the Urshifu was the one Pokemon that was just positioned so correctly that it can take care of the Raging Bolt. It can take care then of all the Natus picked up the KO and the Incineroar, and then it was just game from there, because you cannot go through a focus session Urshifu. Sorry, you can like with the Flutter Mane, if you call the Terra right, you go through the Urshifu and then you're basically there.
Yeah, and that's sort of the point of at least Urshifu being there. It acts as a sort of sponge whilst being able to dispatch a lot of damage backwards, but you need to be able to better place it, and it didn't even have the benefit of having the Terastallization available to it to allow Nga Hin to maybe go for the read, go for the Dark Terror Wicked Blow into the Roaring Moon, apologies, when maybe anticipating the Terastallization. So it just felt like, okay, I've got to play for my opponent's misplay, and it just didn't work out. So going into game two then, Simon, how do we feel Nga Hin may try to better position themselves? Do they rely on the Golden Go, or maybe try to rely on another Pokemon as the main sort of damage sweeper?
So what I'm looking forward to, or what I potentially want to see, is like maybe playing a little bit more around the Ogre Pond, so you can also take care, like, basically the Raging Bolt has to go first, right? And then Golden Go Ogre Pond could theoretically just go through, right?
Yeah.
So potentially what I would like to see is maybe an Urshifu in the lead, going through the initial Raging Bolt, and then just going straight into the Golden Go mode in the back. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to work out. We'll have to see how both players adjust and what they're going to bring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in complete agreement when it comes to more of an offensive burst option, or should I say aggressive plays from Nga Hin's side, but we are going to find out as we do have game two ready. So we got the leads revealed. Nga Hin's going to be bringing the Tornadus and the Golden Go. So instead, now having the option of the immediate speed control along its side versus the same lead from Lewis's side with the Flutter Mane and that Raging Ball.
Yeah, so deciding to leave the Incineroar at home, at least for now. Tornadus offers a lot of initial speed control, right? But it also really doesn't want to be in front of this Raging Bolt like before. So if you decide to not go for a Tailwind and go for a Protect turn like earlier, this Goldengo is in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is sort of the crux of this, the fact that the Raging Bolt has such a good place on this board. Nga Hin doesn't have a lot of good options to be able to counteract it, because most of its Pokemon aren't going to be able to directly threaten it, and that's the awkward thing when it comes to this matchup. But clearly Nga Hin trying to go on the offensive, goes for the Tailwind set up as well as the Nasty Plot, maybe anticipating the Tornadus going down this turn.
Yeah, we see the Nasty Plot coming out, but the Flutter Mane yet has to move, goes for the Shadow Ball. Choice Specs Shadow Ball is probably going to pick up a Goldango right here, I would guess. And the Raging Bolt yet has to move, might go for maybe like an Electro Whip. Yeah, it goes for the save Electro Whip. It's not going to try to go for any Thunderclap shenanigans. Doesn't want to lower its attack with Draco Meteor, but the option is there. But now we have 3 Pokemon against 4.
Yeah, and that was such a rough turn one for Nga Hin. didn't even commit to the terrestrialization, sort of anticipated Lewis to respect the Golden Go too much, but I don't think Lewis has a real good reason to be able to do that, since you're still at least going to be able to guarantee so much KO and maybe get a Thunderclap subsequent pickup KO onto it the following turn, and that's sort of Lewis's goal. Just try to get KOs as quick as possible, maybe preserve the Flutter Mane here for the Urshifu later on in the game, and this is such a beautiful switch. I feel like Nga Hin is so far behind the board state right now. It's going to be really tough for them to be able to bring this back.
Yeah, we see Lewis also playing very well into like the player that they are up against. So Lewis actually decides, hey, Nga Hin is playing in a certain way, and I'm going to play exactly against that. So the Goldengo wasn't Terra turn 1 last turn. I'm going to punish that this time around. We see the Terra Dark Urshifu coming out, potentially trying to get rid of this Raging Bolt right away, but there is still a second Terra coming this turn. Terra Fairy coming out. Beautiful little heart on its head, little big dinosaur. We love it. What is going to happen now?
Yeah, and this is a beautiful way to be able to counteract the burst damage potential from the Wicked Blow Dark Terror coming out from Nga Hin. So Lewis absolutely reading into this so well, dealing so little damage in what should be an overwhelmingly powerful one. Bleakwind Storm misses on the Incineroar, does connect to the Rage Bolt, and now because it's no longer Electro type, it's going to be able to take neutral damage. As the speed does drop, it's at -1, but it doesn't care as it goes for the Electro Web. Most importantly, not only picks up the KO on the Tornadus, but it breaks the Focus Sash on the Urshifu, which is now at -1 speed as we have a couple of turns of Tailwind remaining, but this isn't the spot you want to be in from Nga Hin's side. You've got final 2 Pokemon remaining, and Lewis has so much more resource available to themselves to be able to sail through this mid to end game.
Yeah, the Incineroar still has to move here. I think so. There's fake outs are active. There's defensive plays to be made. But the thing is, Tailwind is running out. You don't want to make defensive plays. We see the fake out coming out into the Raging Bolt, another fake out into the Urshifu. So deciding, hey, I'm not gonna move with both Pokemon. So we're gonna just leave it as is. But there is a Flutter Mane waiting in the wings. You cannot play defensive in a position like this because you're just gonna get punished 3 turns down the line.
Yeah, and I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think you have much plays from Nga Hin's side. Like, you've just got so much going against you right now. This Terra Fairy Raging Bolt, even before it committed the Terra Fairy, it was such a powerful Pokemon to be able to, have face down and not pick up some crucial damage onto. And even though the Urshifu is going to survive the Wicked Blow, it's not going to pick up the KO on the Rage Bolt, and this is why it's so important to be able to preserve the Terra Fairy for the Rage Bolt. Although it will be going down due to the double up of the Flare Blitz, you would think that, oh hey, that critical hit on the Flare Blitz was Style Point effect, because it was, Incineroar trying to follow its good old pal Urshifu in that scenario. But the Incineroar from Lewis's side is just going to pick up the KO on the Urshifu and leaving Incineroar on Nga Hin's side on its own to go up against not 1, not 2, but 3 Pokemon on Lewis's side. I'm not even sure if the King of VGC is going to be able to bring this back.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Incineroar cannot really do a lot here. It is an Incineroar, but there is a whole Flutter Mane with Choice Specs waiting in the wings. There is a Citrus Berry still left on this Incineroar, right? But I don't think you want to take the Moonblast here, and I mean you can just go for Parting Shot, just cycle it out. This Incineroar is just waiting for the game to be over.
Yeah, and Lewis Tan has been able to pick up second win for Australia versus Hong Kong. What a way to go about it. It was absolutely dominating. Although I would say the matchup was definitely in favor of Lewis's side. However, that sort of is a testament to the preparation that both of these trainers have undergone, because the World Cup, unlike the regular sort of major events that we experience in the season circuit, you've got a lot of pre-homework to be able to do, anticipating the play style, the preference of team composition from from your opponent, for example, that you're going to be matched up with on a week-to-week basis. So there's a lot of different intricate gears to this sort of result, which may not be available on the surface, but we've just seen an absolute riot from Lewis. So what a way to be able to give Australia that additional advantage and make them hope to progress into the semifinals, which they have been able to do. Their number 1 accomplishment in the World Cup series has been 2022 semifinals. Will they be able to do it again? They are one step closer.
Yeah, definitely. Like we've seen the play, like the plays turn one, just punishing, you know, the defensive plays from the first game. So Lou is adapting on the fly, knowing exactly what has to happen to win this game, and it was beautifully played, as you said. I am sad we didn't see a Mega Rain in the second game, but I guess we're just gonna go for a short break, and then maybe we'll see a Mega Rain right after that.